Wow. Well, hello, Chris. I want to introduce everyone to Chris Schwartz, the president and CEO of KBID. Welcome, Chris. Thank
Hey,
you.
Ann.
Yes,
Thanks for having me. Yeah, happy to be here.
absolutely. We're so excited to have you in preparation for Florida Auctioneers Association conference that is coming up in Boca Raton for April 13th through 15th. It's going to be such an exciting event.
Yes, I'm very excited to get down there. I'm a big proponent of associations as a member of the Minnesota and the national. I think there's a ton of value at these associations, and I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of new faces.
Thank you to KBID for being a platinum sponsor along with Transon. We're excited to have you both join us as key sponsors to the event. And it's so intriguing to me. I think I was out in by the Twin Cities, of course, for a beautiful family friend and CAI classmate that we both had for and not too long ago. And I was fascinated to learn that that's where you guys also originate. So tell us about the history of KBID and how you guys started and where you're based out of.
Yeah, so we've been, in business for 20 plus years. Not an uncommon story, but a live auction company went online in the early 2000s. And it's interesting that in Minnesota, there's a number of us that kind of took that early leap. In, the mid 2000s, we started a concept of bringing on other sellers to our platform, which kind of built our, what we call an affiliate network. And now we've dropped out of doing auctions ourselves and now solely focus on the venue itself as kbid.com. And we have about 200 auctioneers in the upper Midwest right now that list on our platform, anything from vehicles and equipment to estate sellers, coins, pretty good mix. So we've made a lot of transitions over the last 20 plus years, and that's not stopping as we see the markets changing, the technology's changing. It's really fun to be a part of a company that isn't afraid to change as those things come up. So I see it as an opportunity. You can't be scared of, what's coming down the road.
It's always nice to see companies that have expanded and grown. And what I love to hear is that you've made your technology so available to lots of different auctioneers. And I was intrigued when I was on your website. I took a look and you had this map of where you have auctioneers. And I was surprised to find that you guys are all over the map.
Yeah, I mean, we're primarily in the upper Midwest, but as we know, the world's getting smaller and smaller. So we're looking at different areas, bringing on new people. We've had a lot of interest with our current members of our network in the Florida market. So that's a big reason that we're interested in coming down there to, meet some of the companies that are, doing it well there, and just to make some of those connections and, get some insight into, what that market looks like as well.
Yeah. The Florida market, I think a lot of people don't realize how vast and how large Florida is.
Mhm.
I mean, you can drive, we have auctioneers that are driving in from, I know one of our board members, Penny Worley's driving in with her husband. He's in a wheelchair and they're going to be driving in. And she mentioned it's going to be something like, I think, a 9-hour drive, right? So the vast size of the state of Florida brings forth with it a ton of opportunity and a ton of different asset classes and so many different things that you guys do so well with your platform that you cover different types of auctions, you service different buyers and sellers and the different uses. Talk to us about, the different type of categories that you have on your site.
Yeah, like I mentioned, we have a pretty good mix. We've seen an influx or a lot of traditional estate sellers that made the leap from the weekend sale to online auctions. And I think that's one thing we do quite well is to show people that world and give them a faster track into success in the auction space. Um, where it doesn't have to take 2 years to grow and establish yourself. We've also got a lot of vehicles, equipment, business liquidations. There's a lot of talent that we have in our, small network of auction companies, and each has their own kind of unique abilities and experience. And through that, we're able to, service quite a wide area and take on a lot of different types of projects. So it's really cool that we're able to, not pigeonhole ourselves into one asset class or another necessarily. Kind of see it all.
I always say that one asset class brings one buyer comes in for one asset class and they end
Mhm.
up buying something else. And that's really the advantage of cross-pollination on a site, really, is to get those bidders excited when they're in for one and they find a treasure in something else that they were totally not expecting, right? And I think that's the reason why the cross-pollination works so well with the different locations, different types of products. And as I've learned from many giants in the industry, Chris Rasmus being one of them, he always said, we all share the same buying pool, regardless of where it is. But I think having a mass buying pool on a platform like yours obviously makes it even so much more attractive, especially for auctioneers that don't have an established marketplace for them to jump into, and you guys make that all available.
Correct. Yeah. And like you said, they're coming in to look at jewelry, but their daughter also needs a car at a, appropriate price. So you never know that cross-pollination, as you say, it really works well. And our goal and our job is to keep the site sticky enough that they keep coming back, and no matter what they're looking for or not looking for, you see a lot of that. They're not necessarily need anything. It's more of almost a hobby where they come online and start buying, and you see some of that activity, which is cool. And you create those diehard fans from that, and they, just love coming back, and they love the hunt of it all.
The hunt, absolutely.
Hmm.
So tell me, what are you seeing in the marketplace now? What's new? What's happening?
Yeah, we're getting busy. I'd say when COVID happened, the traditional auction seasons that we had in spring and fall in our area, where it tend to get snow, when we used to be busy spring and fall. And then COVID happened, and then we were just busy all the time because everyone was, and things were going crazy. And it seems like we're coming back a little bit more to that seasonality where, things ramp up in the spring, and then summer maybe slows
Hmm.
down a little bit. But yeah, we're definitely ramping up for the spring and summer right now, seeing a fair amount of everything. Business liquidations, not a ton of bank activity quite yet. There's some, definitely some conversations being had, but nothing crazy at this point.
And that's actually one of the topics we're going to be talking about at the convention. Speaking of,
Hmm.
our Boca Raton convention, it's going to be epic. John Schultz is coming in, the current president of the of the National Auctioneers Association. And my goodness, his class, I mean, I think over the last 11 years, being an auctioneer, having attended a vast volume of content and presenters and speakers that is out there, this is by far John's most incredibly robust content that will help transform anyone's business. I think I use the analogy, my husband was in IT back what in the or at the onset of late 90s, early 2000s, right? He used to say, I used to be in the furniture business. I used to say, you need to be the first furniture company or the shipping company or whatever the language was out there, because so much change is taking place, to be the first to do whatever's happening. I think in the world of AI, this is such a similar correlation, that the way we're able to take AI and adapt it and use it to simplify the steps and processes in our auction business is paramount. And I'm excited that we're going to have this content out there to help sellers, to help auctioneers, to help individuals with from the process of cataloging to marketing their asset classes, to the information that is going to be shared, multi-hours of training as to how it will help them transform their auction business with the use of AI.
Oh, absolutely. And John's going to be great as always. He's going to give all the knowledge that he has, and it's if anyone out there hasn't seen him, you're going to get your money's worth just to see John and that. But yeah, to touch on the AI, absolutely, it's going to make us more efficient, better serve our clients. And yes, it can be a little scary if you're unfamiliar with it, but my suggestion to you is just start very small and make a point to use it one time a day in something, an email response, anything, and just kind of grow from there, because eventually it'll be 70% of your day.
It really will be. And another element that I don't want to say surprised, but I enjoyed learning what you guys offer at KBID to when you take on auctioneers. And it's something that as a past, EI educational trustee at the National Auctioneers Association, right? There's a system for teaching. There's a system for learning. There's a process to learning information and how to do things well, whether it's for the principal of a company or for their trainees or for staff they're bringing on. I absolutely love the fact that you guys have pre-recorded material and information to allow people for you hold their hand through the process. Talk to us about what you guys offer for your platform and for training.
Yeah, as we've transformed, I think that's a big part of what we do is we do bring people into the industry. And part of our responsibility is to train them up so they, A, don't get themselves in trouble, and they can serve their clients well. So we've created a lot of content around that of how do I effectively start an online auction business, and how do I talk with sellers? How do I deal with logistics and the thousand other things that we do in our day-to-day running auctions? There's just so much to learn that you can't really get that in a week of schooling. And as important and effective as associations are, you get a lot of that, but it's usually a weekend or two a year. So it's hard to get that 365 days or get that community or get that response on a Tuesday or whatever it may be to lean into someone who's been there before and seen it. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of successes with not necessarily traditional auctioneers who have, the staff, the marketing staff, the accounting staff, everything else. It's someone who wants to get into the industry that needs more than just a place to put online auctions. They need someone to hold their hand and give them that confidence that it takes to say, oh yeah, I can do that. So I think that's what we're seeing, where we really fit into the market and how we help people kind of get off their feet and into the industry.
I remember when I first started in the industry, it was 4th of July. It was right before 4th of July. I was getting our new website up. We had joined one of the new larger platforms. It was all brand new. And there were so many elements that we had to put into place and as a newer auctioneer. And it was just so overwhelming
Mhm.
that I literally had to cancel my children's holiday and 4th of July. I mean, who doesn't love to celebrate? But I remember sitting on the couch, sending them off, with their dad and with their grandparents and saying, I need the kids out of the house so I can concentrate and get things going. And I remember the amount of anxiety that I had for making sure that I don't, make a mistake, or that I don't skip a beat, or that I have all the elements in place that, as you and I were talking about all of the different things that you guys have in place, I thought, how stress-free is that process that you guys are able to hand off solutions and manuals, instructions, solutions, how to, whether it's cataloging, terms and I mean, it's so many elements that goes into the process of starting an auction company, selling products, different asset classes. I mean, it's overwhelming. And to have a process and a system, it's wonderful to hear.
Mhm. And, as we know, the connections and the people that we can lean into who are experts in different areas is so important in this industry. And that's what we're trying to foster here as well with our little community is, okay, you don't know industrial equipment, but these five guys and gals do. So let's get you together. Let's not see each other necessarily as competition. Let's work together. Let's do the best thing for the client and get the best outcome for them. So we all know that in the industry, we see the benefit of working together and making those connections.
And
So
getting
yeah,
those deals, right? It's all
yes.
about the art of the deal is really, we don't have to know everything, like you said, but we need to
Mhm.
know somebody who does. And to have
Yes.
you guys or to have someone on your team on speed dial to not only answer those questions, but to make the introductions to somebody else. Really, what does that do? That just ramps up the learning curve
Mhm.
tenfold for anybody that is looking to establish their business, grow their business, really jumpstart their business, and all of the many different elements that it takes place because it really takes a whole team to support the efforts. And I love to hear that you guys have provided all of that and why you've had the longevity that you have and you've had the exposure to have sellers and buyers nationwide really at this point.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey and just to kind of see how it keeps adapting and changing and being willing and open to that change has been really fun.
And congratulations on what can, may I call it a plug and play platform? Because they're really
But
able to plug in and and really be up and going fairly quickly, right?
yeah, but with any software, any product itself, it's never done. We got a lot of work to do. We know it, and we always will never be done improving, which is why I enjoy these types of conferences too, to see what the pain points are for other people. Like, how do you, and it is hard to make something that's all encompassing. That's an impossible task, but you take, the biggest pain points that you hear over and over again and try to solve them. So I get a lot of value out of that from, conversations that I have at the NAA or these state conferences. So that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Well, I can't wait to host you and your team and to see everyone in Boca. And for anyone listening out there, we would love to have you join us. We would love to really be a part of all of you joining our wonderful conference in Boca Raton, April 13th through 15th. Chris, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. And we look forward, we'll put a link with your information as well and your contact information if anybody has any questions for you. And obviously, they're welcome to join us at the conference and to connect with you even further.
Yeah, I really look forward to it. I thank you so much for doing this, Anne. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to be down there in just under 2 weeks. So,
Under 2 weeks, it is. It's under 2 weeks. It's exciting times. Thank you for being a sponsor. We look forward to seeing you guys and learning more about the wonderful program you have in place. Looking forward to connecting then. Thank you so much. I'm Ann Nouri, current president of the Florida Auctioneers Association, signing out. Thank you, Chris.
thank you. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye. We'll see you soon.